Good morning, I'm your host, Patrick Delhougne, and I'm delighted to start this YouTube program, The Patrick Delhougne Show, that will cover your money, global macroeconomic issues, real estate investment, and human capital trends. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video, as this will help me to launch this new program. Episode 2 will look at the complete overhaul of our financial system, as the Fed, I'm afraid, is coming for your dollar. We're going to cover in this program CBDC. So CBDC has been trending in the news and on YouTube for the past few weeks. And I'm going to explain to you what it means and what stands behind it in many different ways. CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. And we have all heard of other cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. This would be also a cryptocurrency, but it will be issued by the US government. The Biden administration decided to accelerate the push for CBDC over the past couple of months. And in many ways, we could perceive this as being an Orwellian, a nightmarish control of your money, or it could be a sort of episode from Star Trek coming from another galaxy. But I'm afraid to say that this is happening right now here in the US. So let's dive into this and let's understand the pros and cons of the central bank digital currency and what it really means. Is it the end of cash as we know it? How much powers will the central bank really have over the currency and its citizens? What sort of CBDC model will the Fed use? The questions are numerous and complex, so I will dedicate 2 episodes to this subject. The first episode will look at the global environment and what other countries are doing and answer the question, why is this happening? The second episode will look at what we started in the USA overall and what are the relations with the International Monetary Fund and other global institutions. On March 9, 2022, President Biden signed Executive Order 1066 into law, with Section 4 that sets the table for a major overhaul of the dollar currency and would allow politicians in Washington to possibly take full control of your bank account and could eventually render the US dollar obsolete. Let me repeat this clearly. The purpose of this plan is to eventually eliminate the dollar the way we have known it and the way we've been accustomed to it. This is a move against cryptocurrency, as central banks around the world dislike private decentralized money, as they cannot control the supply of it. And it also threatens in some ways the sovereignty of their own sovereign currency. While everyone has been distracted over the past 2 weeks with our tax filing, the banking crisis, and the Fed raising interest rates more than 9 times in 12 months, our government has been at work diligently to create a digitally programmable currency controlled by the Fed. It is also known as a digital token. So, when was the last time that you paid with cold hard cash? The reality in the US, China, and many other countries is that they have been using a lot less cash lately. Especially during the pandemic, with some hygiene concern, many of us are turning to digital financial transactions. Over 98%, in fact, of the money in circulation today is from checking deposit dollar deposited online and converted into a string of digital code by a commercial bank. So the use of banking apps and digitization of credit card transactions have been made that development seamless. For example, PayPal rely on customer linking their services to their bank debit and credit card. So in the West, the shift to digital has left the banking business relatively unaffected, but this is about to change. In China, the Chinese banking system has experienced more disruption with the eruption of Alibaba and Tencent's WeBank. Such companies have leveraged looser data privacy protection to dominate consumer payment. The impetus for radical change is really coming from China, as we can see. Their central bank has been experiencing with a form also called Central Bank Digital Currency, or CBDC, which is viewed as the cash of the future. Part of China's motivation for introducing CBDC is to reduce their dependence on Alipay or WeChat, which accounts for 94% of all internet transactions, almost $16 trillion in value. The move to CBDC is a global movement. Countries like Sweden, the European Community, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, and Jamaica are among 87 countries implementing testing pilot. At present, almost 90% of the global GDP are exploring CDP solution. In the US, the Fed of Boston, in close collaboration with MIT, is working on a project called Hamilton, which has been started more than 2 years ago for the purpose of implementing a CBDC prototype. A recent CNBC article shared that FedNow, the Fed digital payment system, would be launched in July 2023. This is a necessary step to allow for the creation and the adoption of CBDC. How will it work? The technology underlying CBDC will be blockchain. It consists of time-stamped record blocks with the encrypted transaction activity. Blockchain decentralizes the storage and transmission of money. Right now, blockchains remain slow and cannot support large-scale transactions. In the future, we anticipate the ability to do so with increasing large amount of transactions that could be executed. CBDC are direct liabilities of the central bank and are token-based. It makes CBDC in many ways safer than other digital money like cryptocurrency and commercial bank issue digital money. So let me repeat this because this is really important, that CBDC are a direct liability of the central bank. With the recent collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and FTX, it is not surprising that the government are now looking at different model, and this would allow, because of the security provided by the Fed, that it would allow to avoid runs on central banks, which makes it in many ways safer. This is very different than a stable coin that has no backing from the government and is pegged to the US dollar. So what are other benefits of CBDC? Advocates for CBDC believe that it will address many issues related to efficiency, security, and access. Reduce transaction cost by $600 billion by switching from physical infrastructure of the banking system towards digital finance. It would increase speed and improve security by using blockchain technology and thereby reducing the chance of fraud. And these are the different arguments that are pushed by the advocate in favor of CBDC. What are the concerns about CBDC? Robert Kennedy Jr. declared that he was running for president as an opponent to President Biden and a Democrat. And his first press release as a presidential candidate was a tweet against the danger of CBDC. What he said was that basically, I will read the first part of the tweet. CBDC greases a slippery slope of financial slavery and political tyranny while cash transactions are anonymous. A CBDC will allow the government to surveil all of our private financial affairs. The central bank will have the power to enforce dollar limit on our transaction, restricting where you can send money, where you can spend it, and when money expires. CBDC is tied to a digital ID, and social credit score will allow the government to freeze your asset or limit your spending to approve vendors if you fail to comply with some arbitrary diktat. So as you can see here, Robert Kennedy Jr. has an extremely negative view of CBDC and has decided to make it the first argument of his campaign. So what we want to bring to your attention is that Kennedy was suggesting that FedNow is linked to CBDC, but it is not CBDC. The Federal Reserve Digital Payment System will only facilitate the adoption of CBDC. So think about it in other way as your digital wallet. But Kennedy is right that it would be the end of your financial anonymity. When money becomes digital, it becomes traceable and therefore taxable. Many countries around the world have a strong black economy and will want to continue to utilize cash payment. So you can anticipate a great deal of pushback as it relates to early adoption. This also means that the adoption of CBDC, in my mind, will be slow and take several years. So again, I think that what Kennedy is talking about an immediate threat to the economy and the system is not really real. I think that it will take several years before we could see a CBDC implemented internationally. Another major concern is privacy. A number of lawmakers argue that China will use digital yuan for domestic surveillance. All central banks around the world will increase control over money issuance and gain detailed insight on how people spend their money. Since these are programmable digital tokens, a government could in theory block the use of your own money for services or product if they disapprove. So, perhaps the biggest concern is around the role of a central bank as a wholesale lender of the first resort. State-controlled credit could be subject to politically motivated lending, and as you can imagine, there is a lot of very important consideration that could potentially completely transform our banking system and make it linked to your political party and your political aspiration. Thank you for watching the video. Do not forget to put your comment and to like it. If you have a negative comment, we like them as well. Let us know what you think. Enjoy the program and see you on the next edition. Bye-bye.